Well, I think we're having some audio technical difficulties, but I think we've got those worked out. So apologize for that, and we'll kind of reset for you right off the top. The great news here is that boy, the Buckeyes are awfully excited because Al Washington is staying in Columbus, and you consider what Ohio State was potentially dealing with. Al Washington being a guy that. Look, if he would have left Ohio State, it's not the kind of loss that I think would have crushed the program. But boy, it certainly would have been felt in a big way. He has been a phenomenal recruiter for Ohio State football the last couple years, and frankly, he is one of the highest rated recruiters in the country right now, based on the guys that the Ohio State Buckeyes have gotten verbal commitments from. Both from the class of 21 and now class of 22. So again, if you're just catching the news, it's good news. Ohio State is going to keep Al Washington as linebackers coach. He reportedly is turning down what it sounds like is a 3-year, $1.5 million offer per year to be the new defensive coordinator at Tennessee. And I think there probably had a lot to go into that thought process, a lot that had to go into that decision because, Tennessee essentially blew the whistle on themselves. Their program is probably going to be under NCAA probation for some undetermined amount of time right now. But they basically turned themselves into the NCAA for a recruiting violation to kind of clean house again. And Jeremy Pruitt was shown the door, and who knows how long Tennessee football is going to be, under surveillance or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they're certainly going to have to probably pay a fine. They may have scholarship reduction. It's going to be difficult for them to build something in the SEC. Right now, they're probably not even ready to compete within their own division, let alone compete for a conference championship. Who knows how long Al Washington's going to stay at Ohio State. I think you're talking about a guy in his mid-30s that has done such a good job here that you probably think there's going to come another opportunity knocking, and frankly, probably sooner than later for him. I think he's probably betting on himself, and it's really hard to turn down life-changing money for a defensive coordinator job at an SEC school, but he's a Columbus native. He's coached with some big programs even before Ohio State. Obviously, was with Coach Harbaugh up at Michigan, and he coached with Luke Fickell for a year in Cincinnati. Because he's done so well at Ohio State, and because the Buckeyes continue to be so primed to keep winning, in my opinion, his stock's not going to go down. He just turned over a group of linebackers that had a fantastic year. And frankly, there's a good chance that all 4 of them are going to end up at a minimum in NFL training camps, and certainly looking like a couple of them may be drafted coming up in April. So the idea that the Buckeyes are going to keep Al Washington is certainly promising. We'll see how long he's with Ohio State. Obviously, Ryan Day and Gene Smith must have made a good enough offer to him, and given him certainly some pay raise. I would think that was warranted. He was reportedly right around $500,000 per year with Ohio State last year. So to turn down a literally $1 million annual raise is substantial for someone in their mid-30s. But I think he's betting on himself, and it sounds like he's going to get an increase in his role at Ohio State, whether that's as a run game coordinator or somehow helping with the defense beyond just the linebackers. I think hasn't been officially announced yet. But the Buckeyes had to do enough to be able to convince him to stay, and I think that was really telling. And again, I think for Coach Washington, the biggest part of this is probably saying, look, it's better for him personally to be in a place with a program that is ready to consistently win. Ohio State's won 4 straight Big Ten championships, and obviously they're consistently knocking on the door of the college football playoff. They continue to, other than Alabama, they're pretty much running laps around everybody else in the country in recruiting. There's no reason to think that Ohio State football is going to start taking steps backwards. So the thought process here then has to become, okay, how can you how can you keep that going? And if you're Al Washington or frankly, any of the other younger coaches, if you're not a coordinator or the head coach at a program like Ohio State, you are using that platform, that opportunity to try to become a coordinator or a head coach elsewhere. That's kind of how it works. Urban Meyer certainly saw his staff picked several times over. Ryan Day has lost a couple guys along the way and will certainly lose others. It's almost something you think of from a flattering perspective. The best way to know that you're doing jobs well or to have other schools come pick your coaches and say, yeah, that's the formula that we want to have at our place. And so, that's just the reality that Ohio State's going to have to deal with over the years. But the good news today, Al Washington staying in Columbus, and, for how long, who knows? But the Buckeyes are not going to lose him, at least here this year. And I think at the end of the day, he just made a bet on himself. And I have to think that given his track record, given his work ethic, given the way that the coaching staff in Columbus, so highly thinks of him and the way his players have spoken so highly of him, feels like a pretty safe bet to me. And who knows how long he'll be with the Buckeyes, but it's a big sigh of relief for Ohio State, because for the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of people holding their breath, wondering exactly what things are going to look like with this coaching staff next year. And this was basically the one remaining, big piece of uncertainty. So Al Washington staying, obviously the news yesterday that CJ Barnett is taking the place of Ryan Stamper as the new director of player development for the program. And then, of course, adding Todd Fitch and Paul Rhodes as coaching analysts, another set of veteran eyes on both sides of the ball to try and help Ohio State get back to the promised land where they were so close. Just, in fact, 1 month ago today, it's February 11th as we do this now. And 1 month ago tonight was a memorable but frustrating night down in Miami when Ohio State lost the national championship game. So Al Washington staying put. Buckeyes are happy about that, and I certainly think it's a good thing for Ohio State that he's going to be around for at least another year or so. All right, BuckeyesNow.com if you want all the updates and all the latest on Ohio State football and basketball, and we certainly hope you'll consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We try to give you as much video coverage of the Buckeyes as we can. Certainly things like this, we cover breaking news when it happens, but also we'll stream all the live press conferences for football and men's basketball as well. So plenty of ways to consume your Buckeye content. All right, I'm Brendan Gulick. We'll see you again next time. Again, BuckeyesNow.com, or we'll see you again real soon on our YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone.